over here having, oh, did you take a selfie for your Instagram just now? She's like, look where I'm going.
Not right-handed.
Here I am like caffeining up with my Coke Zero.
Yes, I'm posting. Forgive me. I'm posting it to our Facebook page.
Woohoo!
Yay! Hello, everyone.
Well, obviously, we are back. Welcome back to the 2025 Makers Retreat, virtual Makers Retreat. And in the house, we have Artesprix with Ashley. Woohoo!
Hi, everyone.
She's like, let me post this, Erin. You just keep talking.
Yes, yes. Forgive
So,
me. It's a Saturday.
Ashley with Artist.
Has the day off, so forgive me.
It's all well. You picked Saturday as the day
I
you wanted to
did.
join us.
Guilty.
I gave all the sponsors like different, like what day do you guys want to come in? There was a whole spreadsheet. And so some people picked Saturday. So it was just all over the place. There was free reign for where they wanted to go. I'm like, between this time and this time hourly, where do you want to go? I'll fit my lives in, the other classes in here and there. So it worked out. It worked out really well. All right. So we have known each other. Oh my goodness. Well, I know it dates back all the way to that crazy New York event that we did, but we won't mention the New York event. It was a beautiful place, lovely weather, hot mess of an event, but that's
We'll
okay.
never forget it. That's for sure. Unforgettable.
It was yeah, it was not a
It was
not a very well attended event. I don't think they put it out there. Cool place. You know, we did it at the grounds where they hosted the original Woodstock, and they had like live music and all kinds of fun stuff. But apparently there was another festival, and they had like little buses that were taking people back and forth. And the other festival, which was quarter of our size, had way more people going to it. I don't even know what the other one was. It was all good.
Yeah.
But gosh, that was back. When was that? That was pre-COVID. That's like, so I had to define things by pre and post COVID.
Oh my God, people do that all the time. It's like like saying like a time of war. People use it as
yeah,
in time all the time. I think it was
17 or 18.
2018, end of
Something like that.
2018, I think it was.
Something, yeah. It was like September-ish time frame, so right about right now. Because I remember going, oh, it's around my birthday. That's cool. And yeah, and then next time I saw you again, you guys showed up at Creativation in Phoenix. And I was like,
Yes.
ooh, I know what these markers are. And then we just kind of kept working together and working together. And then I caught the bug, man. I
You
really
did.
caught the sublimation
I
bug.
say I have to giggle a little bit because I am tempted, if we have time, to do one of my projects with a home iron today, because so many of your audience.
That's how I started.
And look at her now, guys. As of like the last 60 days, she's gotten a heat press. So it did take a little bit, but you can go back and you can see Erin with her home iron that looks like it's seen better days. Okay. And then she went to the handheld craft press, with a lot of you guys have. And then just recently she graduated to the heat press. So you don't need a heat press to get started. I just want to say that you don't need a heat press to get started.
Well, I was telling, because we did our live today where we were doing the coffee filters and doing the re-inkers on the coffee filters to make the really cool designs that you can put on the tote bags and stuff. And they're like, can you use a home iron? I'm like, absolutely. I think I rocked a home iron for a better part of 2 years with doing like the stamping and all the different kinds of sublimation. And then I finally got my first heat press and kind of graduated from there. And then now I have the auto heat press where I just push a button. And it's like, done.
So easy. And what's nice thing is, so we wanted to make sure that people didn't think that you had to have a heat press. So I actually came up with home iron directions. So I don't know if that's something that we can share, but it's on the website, and it's a PDF that essentially says, here are the do's and don'ts of sublimating with a home iron. You stick to small blanks. Here's what you have to do if you want to do a big blank. So if there's an opportunity to share that, like, we should probably share it, because a lot of people might find that handy.
I would. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I rocked a home iron for a couple of years. I made ornaments and all kinds of stuff. I pretty much stuck to small things that would fit under my iron, but every now and then I branched out. I'm like, what if I just pressed it like 5 or 6 times for a bigger object? It was okay. It's better with the bigger presses, but it worked. It did work.
Like they say in life, better tool, better result.
That's true. It's true. So you've got a whole bunch of fun things in front of you. But for those that don't understand, we're talking about sublimation and blanks and heat presses and stuff. What do you guys do over at Artesprix?
Yes, for those who might not know or be tuning in for the first time, or maybe haven't seen Erin have fun with our products prior to our video, Artesprix is based in Sarasota, Florida, and we consider ourselves the inventors of sublimation crafting. So before Artesprix hit the scene, you had to have a printer in order to
Mm-hmm.
experience the personalization level that sublimation offers. And at 2018, we introduced the sublimation marker right here, received the patent on that, and we've been growing the line ever since. As Erin said, when she first met us, all we had was markers. That's it.
I was like, what is this crazy sublimation word? Like, I knew the word from science, but I was like, this is an art thing? What? Yeah.
It's an art thing, right? So from a science perspective, it's when something goes from a solid to a gas, skipping the liquid phase. So I love to use the ice cube example. Ice cube's a solid, you put it in the sun, it turns into a puddle, a liquid, and then evaporates into that water vapor, which is a gas. And so with sublimation, that design is a solid. And then with heat and pressure, we are trapping that solid. And because we're using heat tape and high pressure, that solid is turning into gaseous color. And because of the polyester in the blank, those, not to nerd out, but everybody gets excited, okay? And you remember chemistry class, we talk about attracting, and they're going, okay? So the molecules, the gaseous molecules, love polyester, and so they go to the polyester, and that's what makes it find it. They are very happy on that polyester, right? Remember, they always talk about making people happy, charge, minus, all that stuff. The color is very happy when it finds that polyester. So there's your nerd out moment for the day.
There it is. There it is. The other best way, like you did the water thing, but dry ice, that is the perfect way because it goes from a gas straight to a solid. It skips the liquid phase. So when you're seeing like the mist come off of it, that is sublimation as well. So
yeah,
another way to look at that.
There you go.
Cool. So you guys have, you mentioned markers, but you have expanded your line to be more than just markers. You have a whole plethora of fun tools and goodies to play with now.
That's right.
So more fun things?
Telling Erin before we jumped on, I said, we get our best ideas from the maker. So way back when, as Erin mentioned, our Creativation in like 2018 or 2019, somebody took one of our markers and ran off into the stamping village. That's when Creativation had a stamping village, okay? And they came back with a stamp, and then they started coloring on the stamp, and that's when the sublimation ink pad was born. We started out with black because that made the most sense. Stamp black designs and then color them with the markers, and now we have the full line of your 9 basic colors. And then people were taking the reinkers for the stamps, and they were using them with paint, and then we said, okay, say less, we'll make paint. So then we made paint. And then as the line has grown, we were like, well, because we're chemists on crafters, so you guys will get a total kick out of me using the dyes today, because like I don't do it that often. So that's the part where you guys know what you're doing, and you can watch me try to figure out how to incorporate.
You got this. You got this.
I got
full faith. Full faith.
But then we had to come out with our own cleaner, right? And we came out with sublimation stamps, and we came out with the mirror stamp plate. So at even our own alphabet stencil, just to show how stencils are easily used for sublimation. So each year we have grown our sublimation supply list as well. And even just coming out with like larger sizes or other options, because the ones that we came out, maybe like closer to like 2020, we were in our infantile stage, it just became so popular that we had to come out with like a larger size to support that demand.
Hence why we were using the reinkers, but now they have, and I was just showing her, I put the bag somewhere. Oh, there it is. Oh. So I keep them in a bag. It's such a wonderful storage item, let me tell you. But you had the little reinkers to begin with, and then you came out with the mega size, which I love.
Yes. We have been just this year. We have been doing a lot of group crafting events, and those little inkers, if you're using them beyond just refilling your stamp pad, that 1/2 ounce isn't going to take you very far. So we came up with that 2 ounce size to support like hydro dipping, like you're using it with the shaving cream. It's essentially all those fun things that you can do with regular ink or regular paint. You just like marble painting, just substitute our inks, and you're ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, it is such a fun freeing technique. You can do them on gel plates. You get there's just so many fun things you can do with it. All right, so what do you have in front of you? I'm like peering at the desk.
So
figure this out.
So today we're going to be working with our sublimation coasters. We have 2 kinds. And should I go over quickly about blanks, or do you feel like that's?
Let's just
touch
30 seconds. Yeah,
30
just
seconds
touch on it for a second.
So you just want to make sure that whatever you're transferring to is compatible. And what do we mean by compatible? That means if it's a fabric, it has to have a high polyester count. 100% polyester is best. 60% is acceptable. Whatever that percentage is the percentage that the ink is going to take forever. So 100%, it's going to look super bright and vivid. 60%, you're going to lose some of that image. And then if it's a hard surface item, like these blanks, that means it has a polyester coating that's been applied by the manufacturer, and it is marketed and manufactured for that purpose. It should come with time and temperature directions and should be marketed as a sublimation blank.
So I can't just go to Dollar Tree and go pick out a mug or go pick out coasters and go, yep, let's just sublimate on this thing, because it's not prepared as a sublimation blank.
That's right. That's right. Now, fabric, you can get away with a lot more because there's a lot of polyester fabric has come a long way from scratchy police uniforms. Okay. So we have a lot of options in today's day and age for like you can go to like Walmart, the dry fit material, a white shirt. You'd be surprised. That's probably 100% polyester. So you just have to know where to look.
So somebody made a comment, because you touched on this really fast, shaving cream?
Yes. Yes. So just like, basically the shaving cream is the vehicle, and then you just take our ink and put it in the shaving cream, a little swish, like,
swirl it around.
Little swirl. Then you take your piece of paper, lay it in, lift it up, move the shaving cream, and there's your transfer.
It creates this really kind of cool marbly look when it's on there. The key thing with anything, if you're using the paints or the inks or the shaving cream, or like we were doing with the watercolor with this, and we were spraying it on water and coffee filters, make sure everything is dry before you go to sublimate it. You can't sublimate it when it's wet. So just as an FYI.
If you go to our website and search shaving cream, not that you would think that that's what you would search on our website. So go to our website and search shaving cream, and you'll find some awesome tutorials.
Yeah, you got all the kind of cool stuff. All right, so you got a couple of blanks in front of you, and I see some of your ink pads.
Blanks, ink pads, and then we are using, and this is a great example of our best ideas come from you guys. So we're using our heat-resistant transfer mask. So essentially, we started with heat-resistant tape. This is what keeps your project in place. And then people were taking this tape, and they were lining it on their cutting machine mats, and they were cutting out the littlest stars or the littlest butterflies. And I was like, okay, we can come out with something bigger, so you're not subject to just like a 1/4 of an inch wide. We can help you with that. So we came out with the heat resistant transfer mask. And so today we're going to be using the heat resistant transfer mask with some dies to create some fun, spooky coasters. So look how
I love it.
So
because the tape and the mask acts as a resist. You can't sublimate through that. It prevents the sublimation from happening.
That's right. So the heat resistant mask will prevent it, and it'll keep it for the original color. So in this case, white.
Very cute. All right. I'm going to give you full screen so we can see all the fun stuff that you are doing, because she's got the whole studio there. Look how cute this is.
I am ready. Okay, so just to recap on what we need, we're going to be using our Artesprix sublimation ink in ink pad form. I've got black, purple, and green. Then we're going to be using plain copy paper. Now, can you use mixed media paper, cardstock? Yes, you can even use doilies, coffee filters. Okay, you have options, paper towels. We're going to be using copy paper today. We'll also be using our blending brushes along with our ink pads to create on our paper. I mentioned the coasters. That's what we're going to be transferring to. I mentioned the heat tape to help keep our project in place. We also will be using our protective paper. So this is siliconized paper in a roll, and it'll help protect our work surfaces when we go to transfer. So I'll tell you more about that when we get a little closer. And then I do have a heat press here. It's 9x12. It's actually on sale right now on artesprix.com. So if you're like, I want to be like Erin and I want to graduate to heat press stat, go check it out. It's 9x12. It's lightweight. Like you can move it if you need to. So I really like this. Great for bigger projects, but small enough that it's not going to like eat up like a lot of work area. So I'm using that today, and if we have time, I will do one of the coasters with a home iron. So that's everything. Oh, and then the dies, of course. So I'm going to be using the Sizzix Big Shot today, and then I've got all of these. What are these called, Erin? Plates?
Yeah, plates. Yeah.
I've got all my plates with directions, thank goodness, and I've got them already in the order. So I've got that going. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to get my package stuff out of the way. I want to get everything that's like white and out of the way for when we're doing the inky part. All right. So the first thing we're going to, before I start, do we have any other questions?
Yes, we actually had one right here. How do you sublimate on dark colors?
You don't. Sorry, you just don't. And anytime that you see sublimation on a dark color, it's a hack, it's a trick, it's a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a mind, like, trick. There's something in between that is accepting that transfer. So, very popular item would be vinyl. There's things that's called sublimation vinyl, so or glitter vinyl. That's another option. So you could cut out a glitter vinyl or a sublimation vinyl heart. You press that onto your black shirt, and then you take that same design and you color the same with the markers or the inks or the paint, and then you press that on top. So you're only technically sublimating to the vinyl. Now you can do light colors like light grays, light yellows, light greens, like light fabric colors, but then you're gonna inherit that hue of the fabric as well. So like if you do a yellow shirt and you do green ink, it might look a little blue. It just depends on the hue of the threads of the original fabric. A great question.
Very cool.
Very common question, but you will not see dark sublimation blanks. And if you do, send me the link because I want to see
it. Prove her wrong.
No, well, listen, I'll call a spade a spade. Like, we haven't been doing this very long. Sublimation has been around forever. You don't know what you don't know, right? So while I consider myself the professional sublimation crafter I am, I've still got a lot to learn.
Now, what you might be confusing or might be thinking of is there is such a thing called DTF, which is still using a heat press to transfer an image, and that can be done on dark surfaces, but it's a different process. It's not the same as what we're doing here. So they're similar, kind of like with heat transfer vinyl. They're similar, but they're because you're heating them to press it onto the surface, but the act is different in terms of the method prior to the heat press, I guess is the best way to describe it.
Yes. And again, it's not, sublimation is only when, going back to the nerding out moment in our video, it's only when those molecules get attracted to that polyester. So you're really only sublimating on that vinyl. You're not sublimating on a dark fabric. So going back to the original question, how can you sublimate on dark fabrics? No. You can sublimate onto a piece of a sticker that can go on the dark fabric, but that's really the best way.
So here's another question, and maybe this is something, I don't know, could you ever make a glitter sublimation marker?
I love this question because we get it so much. I wish we could, but we haven't figured out how to make glitter, like, turn into a gas, I guess you could say, and then back into a piece of glitter.
Yeah, or I guess it would be like, is there a shimmery something beyond glitter? But anything that you would put shimmery in a marker, or it would be mica, it would be some sort of pearlescent something which is not the part that's going to get sublimated. So how would that transfer over? I don't know.
It would just stay on the page, probably. You know what I mean? Like if you did that, it would just stay on the paper and it wouldn't sublimate.
Yeah,
but going back to the glitter vinyl. Glitter vinyl is a great substitute if you're looking to add a little sparkle. And as well, I'm sorry, but just because it came up, I'm going to go off camera and grab something.
I'll put my lovely face back on screen so we don't have nobody there. Oh, there we go.
There's this is a glitter tote bag. These are available on Walmart.com through Blick right now. I think these are really fun for, like, it's hard to tell because I've got all these shiny lights, I guess, but like, can you see the shimmer? These also are available in zip cases on our website, a little zip case, but I love it. So, and it's smooth to the touch. Like it's a Lisa Frank vibe, but you can't feel the glitter. Like I can't feel any of this that's in there. Mm-hmm. So,
it's like pearlescent almost.
Yeah. So an option. Yeah. Not exactly what you're talking about, but options.
So what are you doing right there? Because we started talking about all these other things.
Yes. So right now I'm just taking our blending brushes that are designated for sublimation. Erin has her set designated for sublimation. So you really shouldn't mix your blending brushes for your sublimation ink pads with your regular ink. So that's just a little tidbit there. And then I'm just, again, plain copy paper, and I'm just going to do an ombre. We're going to do black and purple. And you'll notice that this looks much different. It's going to look a lot different when we come to press. And you'll probably be able to notice that better when I do the green. So I just have a little ink on my hands.
So here is another question. I love questions. Bring them on, ladies and
Yes.
gentlemen, whoever is watching. I know nothing about sublimation. Could you sublimate, if that's a word, yes, that is a word, on, say, a white fabric and then dye it dark after, or will the sublimation accept the dark dye also?
That's a great question. No one has
I've never heard this question.
that. No one has ever asked me that, Lisa. That is a great question.
That's why I was like, that's the coolest question I've ever heard of, because I never would have thought of that.
I love that. Like, could you, like, let's say it was a white shirt, you did black ink, like a black ink design, and then you dyed it that whatever color you wanted. That would
Like, let's
work.
say you dyed it red.
Yeah, that would work. I think.
I guess that would work.
I don't know. I'm not. I'm a chemist gone crafter, so I haven't done a lot of dyeing in my days, in my short time being a crafter. But I feel like that would work because it's certainly not going to affect the transfer, right?
No.
So once something is in there, it's in there for life. It'll never fade, crack, or peel. Ever, ever, never. Doesn't matter. I mean, unless you put in something
The
like
wheels are spinning now. I'm like, ooh.
I think that would work. That's a good question, Miss Lisa. I appreciate that question. That's a good idea.
That would be kind of cool. And you could test it on something, like, obviously depending on the fabric, but you could start off with testing that, like, say, on ribbon or something like that, because it's just a small piece. You could, because ribbon is a lot of polyester. So, like, even the big fat ribbons, all the white ones, you could test an image there and then dye it after, or just like a test strip of a piece of polyester fabric, just do a little square or something. That could be cool.
Great question. Great question. Okay. All right.
I like all of it.
So this is what we're working with. Doesn't look like much. I'm going to do this again real quick. So these colors, these stamp pads come in red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, pink, brown, forgotten stamp pad, and black. Okay, so
brown is always the left one out.
It is the poor brown stamp pad. It doesn't get any action. But you know what's so funny is rarely do I ever use the black for blending. I don't think I've ever done that.
Yeah, I don't ever go to blending for black.
Today's the first
time. But you are this time. Yeah.
Today's the first time for me. So these, as Erin mentioned, all have the complimentary re-inkers, which are actually now renamed sublimation ink because that's just what it is. And people were just essentially using them, getting our best ideas from you guys. People were using them to refill their ink pads, don't get me wrong, but they were more people using them for other things than people using them to refill their ink pads. And so that's why
we see a product and we just got to play.
Right. I was saying to Erin, I go, you guys blow our minds just as much as we blow yours when we come out with these new products. Okay.
So we have another question.
Yeah.
While you're over there inking away, how do you clean the sublimation ink off of your stamps? Can you still use the stamps with regular ink afterwards?
Yeah, so we came out with our own sublimation, or excuse me, our own multi-purpose cleaner. Because again, as the line grew and we came out with sublimation stamps and stencils, I was like, okay, craft cleaner is a thing, so we got to jump on that. And so we did come out with our own. Of course, it is specially formulated to clean our inks, but really any stamp cleaner will work. Baby wipes will work. Paper towels are great. Just like your other inks, our sublimation ink will stain your stamp. So clean it as soon as you can. It might stain your stamp, but it'll never affect the functionality of it. So don't worry about that. So you can certainly use all the stamps, rubber, polymer stamps, all the stuff you already have with our inks. Just make sure you either use, our cleaner or another type of cleaner as soon as you can. There must be some purple.
And then they're asking about your shirt. There is that must be screen printed because it's a dark fabric.
It is. I know. Well, a little backstory on our logo and branding and things like that. So when we went to Creativation, the Artesprix comes from another company, and we just put the word art in front of it. So that's where the name comes from. And then as far as the black, where does the black come from? We went to Creativation. We went around and we noticed that a lot of the craft supplies on the market are very bright, airy pastels, that sort of things, pinks, mint greens, teals, whatever. And I was like, well, I don't want someone to be walking down the aisle of the craft store and see our markers and then take them home and be like, gosh, these look drab. Okay. So I was like, what can we do to make ourselves stand out in the crafting world? And so we changed our packaging to be black. So I'm like, we are the, as some have said before, we are the weird science of crafting, proud, weird science of crafting and proud. And so that is how we came up with our black branding. And then so many craft companies love the rainbow. It's just, you know, you got to do it. It's like such a pretty, the spectrum. And so, and that's what we did. And the spectrum only looks good on black and white. And so I figured
well, if I have to pick between a black shirt and a white shirt, especially when I'm crafting, black it is.
yeah, that too. Yeah, definitely. Like less, that's why the mat is black. So this is our, wait. There
you go. There you go. You got it.
Our heat resistant mat. Okay, so just a little quick, just quickly, the mats that come with the handheld presses or the mat that's on your ironing board is not conducive for sublimation. And so we just essentially didn't really like what was on the market. So we needed to offer something better. So that way you guys can use your home iron and hold it there for 3 minutes on high heat. And the mat underneath won't get a scorch mark or a burn mark. And so that's why it's black. So it hides ink, it hides stuff. Like this heat press comes with a light blue mat. And I'm like, no, I'm going to put mine in there because I don't want anything showing. So black is also great because it just doesn't show any ink, anything like that.
It's also a little more flattering to wear as a t-shirt.
Yes, I know. It is true. It's much more flattering. I have to agree. Okay, so we are finished. We have 2 transfers that we're going to be working with. The next thing, I'm going to put this up here because I don't need these anymore. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to create our heat resistant mask, like transfer pieces or whatever. So I have seen people do it where they put the mask on the blank. We're not going to do that today because we're using textured coasters, so we'll get there in a second. So the first thing we're going to do, and this is already plugged in, is we're going to take our Sizzix Big Shot. Okay, and we have, let me just show you how I have this layered. It's over here. Don't use this right now. Okay, so let me show you how I have these layered. Oops. I have the big, thick plate. Then I have this thin plate with the lovely directions that I so desperately need. My bottom plate, which pro tip, somebody told me to mark it bottom. So I did. So it says bottom. That's how I know. And then I'm taking my thinlits and I'm putting them with the cut side up. Okay. And Erin, you can stop me at any time if I'm not explaining this right.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
You're doing great. And then, okay, we're going to take our heat resistant mask and we're going to make sure there is a, like 2 layers. There's because it's like a big piece of tape. So there is a clear layer. So you want to make sure that the green side, I guess, not the clear side, is the one that's down. And then we're going to take our top plate. And again, I know that because it's labeled top. I guess I'll just.
But you could switch the plates. I've switched my plates before too, especially if one starts to kind of get more warpy than the other.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. And then this is plugged in. You don't need to do anything. You just feed it through and it just goes. And don't be alarmed at the sounds for those of you who are like me and you're like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah, sometimes you go die cut something and it's like creak, crack, creak, crack, 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 creak. And you're like, oh my God, what am I breaking?
Is this normal? Am I breaking it? This is normal. I found that out. This is normal. These sounds doesn't sound good. Just
it is totally normal.
Cutting out the designs for us.
Sounds like Rice Krispies on this end.
So now I can move this aside, get some more space back. All right.
And Susan, I'm not ignoring your question, but I'm going to ask the question when we get to that part of what she's doing. It'll make more sense when we get to that part of it. So I will answer your question. Don't worry. So
you can now see the Halloween friends, and there they are. So we're just going to take them out. And some of them.
And I would personally save all the extra bits to this mask because there's still so many different parts of this that are still usable, because sometimes you want to die cut something that's a little bit smaller, you know, and I'm all about trying to save space when I die cut something. So I would have put all those dudes really close together and probably screwed it up because they would have been had one on top of the other, but that's okay.
You know what? It's so true. I used to do things in the center, and then I was like, oh my God, you can't do that on a live. They'll have your head. So I learned my lesson, because crafters hate waste. So I totally agree, Erin. Might as well.
We are the stingiest people out there. We want to save every little bit and piece of something. And if it doesn't all get used, we're going to put that right back in the packaging and save it for later, 5 years down the line.
That's right. Right. Okay. So forgive me. There's just a little bit of details in this witch I got to get out. Let me see if I can get this one. Okay, this one came out really good. Maybe when we're transferring another one, I'll see if I can get that one going. Oh, don't want to tear it. Go. So you just have to make sure you get all the little pieces out. I don't have to tell you guys about this part. It's like weeding, that sort of thing. You just want to make sure that you get the part out that you don't need.
Oh, and Susan's making a comment that you could also take the leftovers to make the negative of the image. So
100%.
yes, you could go the other way around with it for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so I'm gonna save that one just for the sake of time, and then put these up here. Okay, so now we have our heat resistant designs. So then what we're going to do is, and as I mentioned, I have seen people do it with, you put the piece on the blank, but because we're using textured coasters, I don't recommend that. If you're going to try it that way, only do that when it's a smooth, glossy, hard surface blank. Don't do it on fabric, because the fabric is woven and it's not necessarily 100% even. So you're gonna
get some blurriness on the edges, right?
Yes, the gaseous color might escape. Okay. So now you just have to remove the backing. Okay. And so this is sticky. This is a sticky pumpkin man. Okay. And so then you're just going to put your sticky pumpkin man on to your design. And I did it at an angle because my little dudes here are taller than 3.5 inches, which is as wide as my coaster is. So I'm doing it across the coaster. Okay.
So it's like on a diagonal for it.
Yes.
You make it work.
And
you do have blanks on your site as well. So if you wanted to find good quality blanks, you guys have some really good ones. And you're still doing your blank of the month, correct?
We are. I actually have it behind me because I wanted to show you guys, because it's only $10 for 2 tote bags. I can't believe it.
Oh, wow. That's a good price.
Oh, I know. Great deal. So I actually have it behind me. Hold on. Let me get my little vampire man.
And I will have to say that even though like you go on some of like Amazon and things like that, and you're never sure where the products are coming from what store they're coming from. And I have ordered products as blanks from certain companies and been very, very disappointed. Not all blanks are created equal in my mind.
That's
because I've done everything else the same and pressed it on 2 different things, and it just sometimes just don't come out the way they're supposed to. So I will 100% stand by any blank that Ashley puts in her store, because they are phenomenal. And the nice thing about some of her stuff too is some of the other stores, they still have like the plastic film on there. She takes hers off.
Yes, we do. We know that so many are experiencing sublimation for the first time, and so I tend to be as blank as Erin kindly said, a blank snob. Okay, and I really want to make sure that the ones we carry are supportive for people who are experiencing sublimation for the first time, because maybe call me a little selfish. I don't want them to think that it was the marker when really it was the crappy blank from Amazon. So I really, really want to make sure that the ones that we offer are the best. And Erin's right. We did come out with a little sticker, so then that way we don't have to peel the thing off anything. So now we just add a sticker, but if it doesn't have a sticker that says peel the film off, then there's no film. Whereas a lot of other, companies or whatever, you have to it's almost like guesswork, like whether there's,
and then sometimes you peel it off. I've had it happen and there's a sticky residue left behind that you didn't realize was there, or you have to go clean it really hard. I've had that problem too. Like the blank is fine, but I guess it sat in heat for so long that that sticky residue remained. Here's a question. Have you ever seen a watch band blank?
Yes, yes. I say that if it exists in real life as a normal thing, then somebody has already come out with it as a sublimation version. So all you have to do is just Google sublimation watch band. You just have to essentially put the word sublimation in front of whatever it is that you're looking for. And 9 times out of 10, somebody has come out with a version of that.
See a need, fill a need.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I got my witch.
I've even seen phone cases too.
Yeah, phone cases. I try not to carry phone cases because before I know it, there's a new phone coming out.
There's so many different versions. Like that's a tough one.
Yeah, it is a tough one. It is a tough one. But you're right. It's a good one, and people love making phone cases. They do. All right, my
Susan's like, darn, I thought I found you a new product.
Sorry, not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Okay, her broom did break. So let me just, I'm going to take 3 seconds and try. But I'm not going to go crazy trying to get the top of her broom. I might just like put it here and just hope it stays. Like risky business. We could try it. We'll do the other one first and see what happens. Okay, so let's do this one first because it's ready. So I have my 2 Pumpkin Man and my Vampire Trick-or-Treaters stuck onto my transfer. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our sublimation coasters. We kept everything separate, and now we are ready to transfer. So we're going to take the white side of the coaster and we're going to put it face down, and we're just going to make sure that we can see ink on all sides. And I feel like I have like a little bit of green here and a little bit of black here. So forgive me, but I did not blend enough green and black. Let's just do this really quickly. I'd rather do it now than be like, oh, I wish I would have. So bear with me here. This is the beauty of the
So there's a small hack you can do, which she didn't do. So I'm going to call you out on this one.
Okay,
so if you want to make sure that your blank gets full, you can place your blank down on the paper and trace it out and then do all of your art. And then when you put your blank back down, you know that there's ink in everywhere, paint in everywhere that you want to do that. So
Erin is 100% right. And I could even do that now just to make sure that I like what's lined up, because if you look at the samples that I made closely, you will see that they're like, they could have been angled better. So I'm going to take some advice from Erin and do it like the extra goody way. Okay. And I'm going to take my coaster and I'm going to trace it. And then, because the pencil does not transfer, so I can go like this over the paper and nothing's going to happen. Okay. So I'm going to trace my trace my coaster with a pencil. And this
is not my tip. This is Ashley's tip. I learned this from her.
So now I can see my square. Okay. And if I'm like, no, you know what? I want it a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right. Then you can adjust accordingly. But I like the way I did it. So I'm going to put it right back down where I traced it. And I'm going to take some heat resistant tape. Now this is heat resistant tape that does not melt. It's going to keep our project in place during the transfer process. So don't be stingy on your tape, especially a blank like this that's thicker. It's good practice to use tape on all 4 sides. But you know what? I'm going to put down my other coaster quickly just to make sure I'm not. Just make sure that the heat resistant tape on this side doesn't affect this one either.
So we can't use Scotch tape or masking tape or washi tape or, duct tape or anything like that. Why?
No,
why can't we use those ones?
Fortunately not. We want to make sure that that not only the tape doesn't melt, because we don't want to have a sticky mess and we want to be able to easily pull this up, but that the heat resistant tape is keeping everything in place to make sure those gaseous molecules are happy and they know that polyester is right there. Make sure it's right next door. Okay. All right. So now we're going to make something called the sublimation sandwich. And the sublimation sandwich is how we're going to build our project under our heat. So the first thing we're going to do, this is a Reynolds wrap container that is great for the siliconized protective paper rolls. So save those Reynolds wrap containers. And we're going to take a piece like this and we're going to put it on the thing. And this is our bottom bun. Okay.
All right, so this is where I'm going to throw up Susan's question.
Okay.
Talking about the mat again. So
Yes.
she goes, is it bad that, for instance, because the mat was black and you have extra ink on that, can't you reactivate it?
You could, like, for example, okay, for example, here we go. This isn't talking about a mat, but it's talking about ink that's already somewhere. Okay. So this is our blank of the month that I was talking about when I was doing it. So this is one of the projects that we were showing off yesterday, and I had already used this. So on the other side, oh, Erin, you're gonna love this, butterflies. Okay. So this was something that was already
Rainbows too. You just nailed it.
Oh yeah. So this is something that was already on there. This project was done a long time ago, and I needed to show this project on this side. So in order to make sure that this did not show up anywhere when I went to press it, I put a piece of protective paper down. So when I went to go press this side, I put a piece of protective paper, and then I put this down. And guess what was all over this piece of paper? Butterflies. Okay, so the answer is yes, you can. It just depends on like the time and temperature, maybe the material that was already in, a mat versus bag. But if you use protective paper every time, you don't have to worry about it. And if there's no ink on it, you can reuse it. So always put a piece of protective paper down, because if there's ink on it, you're going to be like, sheesh, I'm glad I did that. And if there's not, you're like, oh, good thing I did. I can reuse it anyway. Better be safe than sorry. Great question.
So what do you use for protective paper? I use plain butcher paper.
So I am gonna throw out some, a little bit of my own opinion here. Okay, this is an opinion moment. Butcher paper was designed for seafood and cold cuts. Okay, so because Artesprix wants to work with schools, summer camps in November, we're going to a camp show for kids with cancer. And I want to make sure that everything that we offer is something that is designed and used for its intended use. So when you put waxy butcher paper under that at 400 degrees, you really don't know what's being emitted into the air into your craft room, right? You really don't. So now I know crafters, you guys are going to do whatever you want to do anyway, and that's fine. But at least you have all the information. So can you use butcher paper? Yes. Are there probably different kinds of butcher paper? Sure. But is butcher paper somewhere in the world being designed for sublimation? I don't think so. Again, I don't know what I don't know, but like next month I'm going to the big show for sublimation printers where it's like big wide format type of stuff. And those companies that are using these big wide format printers to press into big sheets of metal that you see as signage on the way to baggage claim at the airport, they're not using butcher paper. They're using siliconized paper. So we're all about professional tools in craft form. So that's why you use siliconized paper. If you don't have siliconized paper, please use parchment paper, because parchment paper is at least designed and tested to be used for heat. Great question.
There you go.
So now what we're going to do is we have our bottom bun, okay? And then we're going to be taking our secured blank and design, and we're going to be putting it next. So the way I like to explain this is the blank is the burger, B, so now you remember that. Blank is the burger. The design is the cheese. So think of this as your slice of cheese on top of your hamburger. And where does the cheese go where you're growing? On top of the hamburger. Otherwise, you'd have a mess. So you put it like this, just like that. And then because the ink is so powerful and that copy paper is so thin, I want to protect my heat platen. And I'm going to put another piece of paper on top. This piece of siliconized paper has been used a few times. You can tell it's like really wrinkly, but there's no ink on it, so we can use it again. Okay, and then this is set at 400 degrees for 60 seconds. Okay, let me see if I can get this witchy broom.
Yeah, the butcher paper. So a lot of the other big brands, they always call it the butcher paper. You can't feel the waxy coating on it, and it is the same stuff that they use in the delis and whatnot, but it was never intended for heat. So if you are not going to have the siliconized stuff and you're like, oh, or you just ran out of something, parchment paper you can definitely put in the oven. I mean, that's what you put it below your baking stuff. It goes up to 400, 425. It's meant to take heat, and we eat food off of it. So it's food grade safe. So if you're heat pressing, in front of you, you're not getting crazy fumes, because otherwise we wouldn't be eating the cookies off the parchment paper.
So I'm going to, instead of fighting with the tip of the broom, I'm just going to cut off the stick. So this is actually great. This is very forgiving. I can lift up this girl very easily like this. See how I just lifted her up and it didn't tear up any of the paper? And I'm just going to snip the other end of her broom. And it's okay that that's annoying beep is going. Sorry. Oh, okay.
Not a dumb question. Yes. So she already had her machine preheated prior to putting it in there.
That's
So
right.
that's why, and the reason why she was touching the bottom of it and not having a problem is because the heat's all coming from the top part. And I'm using my hands as gestures, and I realize I'm not on screen. I'm like, the top part. So the top part of the press is where all the heat is. The bottom is just for the pad, and that's where you're placing. So she was touching the bottom, but the top still had a broiling amount of heat to it. And I'm guessing she's probably doing closer to about what, 370 temperature wise on that?
This is set at 400.
Oh, you're doing 400. Okay.
400 for 60 seconds. I also have restaurant hands. So if anybody's ever worked in a restaurant, okay, you touch the bottom mat. Don't touch this part, as Erin said, but like this down here, use heat gloves, do as I say, not as I do. Heat gloves tend to slow you down, just like you're skiing. You're like, oh my God, I can't get my cell phone out of your pocket, like anything like that. It's the same thing goes. Heat gloves kind of slow you down, so I don't really use them during the lives. But let's do our reveal. So let me grab a mat. So these mats are also great as a cool down area because everything is very hot.
So again, if in reality, use heat gloves, especially with kids.
Yes, use heat gloves, yes. Okay, so we're going to do this thing called the peak test, where we're going to lift up a piece of the corner and make sure our transfer is good. And it is, as you guys can see, the reason we do that is because did the heat press randomly like go into safety mode or turn off? And while I was chatting with Erin, maybe was my sublimation sandwich upside down where I'm asking the heat to go through the coaster and heat the design from the bottom up? Whoopsie. So then you would just put it right back in. So because we didn't move any of the heat tape, we have options. If we had moved the heat tape, we have less options to fix it. We would have to do it again. So peak test, a success. So we're going to go ahead and lift up the rest of the paper. You guys, these look so good. I love it.
That's so cute.
Out. Let's do the other ones. Let's keep it going.
I love it.
And so then this is, so you can see like, you know, you can like, remember when we did, like they were green. So the ink is moving, but the mask is doing its, you know, these look more green, right? And these look like they've gotten some color. So the mask is doing its job, blocking that ink.
It prevented it from going to the surface or to the blank.
Right.
Yeah. And now just think about all the cute things that you could put as a resist. The favorite one I've done with this mask, because I made mandalas on the coasters. Actually, it was ornaments that I made it on. And so, you know, I created this really kind of cool, you know, a rainbow background and then cut out a mandala from the mask, placed that, and then it transferred. So there's still the white that was there. It was really cool. Oh, good question. What direction should the markers be stored?
Great question. So the markers over here are tipped down just in case I needed to use them. But markers should always be stored flat and then put tip down before and during use. Now, that's not to say if you were to take a marker in its horizontal position and go to use it, that it wouldn't work, but it might not be that like rich color that we intended. So sometimes I've seen people say, you know what, I'm looking for a lighter feel and use it right out of the box and in its horizontal, you know, orientation. But if you're looking for that true cap color, because the cap color on the marker is going to be what it transfers as, then make sure you put your markers tip down before use. If you've used your markers recently, they only need like 15 minutes, 30 minutes to charge. But if it's been like a year since you've used your markers, just put them tip down like overnight and they will wake back up. No problem.
And nobody's asked this question, but I'm going to throw it out there. Let's say I like made these, like I sublimated, sorry. I made the paper, I put the image down, and I walked away because something happened and I went somewhere else and, you know, I didn't sublimate it right away. Does the image, does the ink pads, does the paint, does the re-inkers, any of that stuff, does it have to be used in a certain period of time?
No. So we've only been around for, I say only, like 7 years now. But we have seen things transferred years later. So We have not found any stipulations to our knowledge where a transfer would not transfer after a certain period of time. So I'm going to say you have all the time in the world, and we've definitely checked that at least in a few years.
All right. So, oh, go ahead.
Sublimation sandwich time. Bottom bun. We're going to flip this over. So our blanks are on the bottom and our sliced design cheese is on top. And then one more piece of protective paper. There we go.
And we have another question while that is pressing. Could it be cut? I'm guessing it's the transfer mask because what we're talking about, the resist mask, be cut on a Cricut instead of a die cut machine?
Yes, of course. I just leave that to you guys. I'm just a little more elementary when it comes to crafting. And so I prefer less screens, because I will say we are all about less technology, right? Forget the printer. Use the tools that you have and the ink. So we tend
the mandala thing that I was telling her about, I actually made the design to be cut out, and so I cut it on the Cricut or whatever cutting machine you have. So you definitely can. And yes. I've done many a project with it. So
from fussy cutting, which I know what that is. Okay, after my first crop, that's what I learned what that was. From fussy cutting to a die cut machine to your true mega machine, however, whatever you want to use, it is all will work with the heat resistant mask.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have about 12 seconds. So I'm super pleased with these, you guys. I think they're
cute.
Fun. And we also have a sale this month on blanks. It's called the Bonus Blank Sale. So if you buy 3 blanks, you get the 4th free.
And while she's grabbing that, there's also a coupon code down in the information section and a link to go to the store. So would those be able to be on top of each other for the % off and also the blanks, or is it kind of one or the other?
You know what, Erin? Good question. I think it's set up so it doesn't combine. Okay, but okay. It will give you. I mean, what did I say? What it is make it for how much off? I'm sorry, I forgot.
25, I think.
So it's really the same difference, really.
Okay.
3 get 4th free. So it's going to just automatically take off the 25% on anything. But so let's say you only wanted 2, you would get 25% off the 2. So it's actually kind of.
Or if you put other stuff in your cart as well. So use the 25% off code. So adorable. Oh, I love it.
I'm obsessed.
And look at the difference in the green and what color it is on the paper versus what color it is on the blank afterwards. It's always one of those, ooh.
She looks okay without her broom. We get the idea.
Yeah, we get the idea.
You get the idea. But I would have just, in hindsight, I would have just cut it again. You know, if the time wasn't on the factor, I would have just cut it again.
But I think she looks like, if I wouldn't have known that there was a broom there because,
there's the other one.
Okay. See, she looks cute without it. Now she just looks like a trick-or-treater.
She's just as cute as trick-or-treater, right?
Now she's not a witch. Now she could be a fairy.
Yeah, she could be anything. That's right. Anything she wants to be. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I was so excited to use, because I'm like, okay, Erin, paper crafting. Let's go. Like, I'm going to do, no paint, right? We're going to do paper crafts. We're going to do ink pads. And so I was really excited to use the heat resistant transfer mask because I just think it's a really easy way to get a design. Like, that was so easy to get the design like this. I didn't really have to do anything almost. It's just a matter of cutting and layering.
Yeah.
Which is kind of
kind of does all the work for you with the cut.
Like a card, cutting and layering, it's the same thing. We're just going to put it under the heat and we're going to end up with something that you're going to use and it will last forever. Like, God bless you guys, but no one's going to be throwing these away. Okay. I know you guys got to put the stickers on the back of your cards. It says made with love. Rethink this before and so I'm just saying with these, much more likely someone's going to keep forever. What's also really cool about this is you can take the dies and the stamps that you use to make a card, make a coaster, even put a little pocket inside the card and have it be a little gift in addition to the card, and then they match. You can use all the same colors, and then that way something that they'll definitely keep.
All right, so there's a question here. Could you use a negative to cut the mask with the colors, then color the characters with a different color? Or you could use it twice. So what if you pulled the mask off the paper and then sublimated? It would be darker in the center, or, like, yes, try it, I guess is the bottom line.
So when it comes to traditional sublimation, so whenever I say traditional sublimation, I'm talking about the printer. Usually the rule of thumb is you cannot press twice. You really shouldn't like press once and then press on top of that. It's just not the best option. But when it comes to sublimation crafting, you can totally get away with it. Like we're just doing blues, or excuse me, purples, greens, and blacks. So what I would do is I would um do the background, or maybe do the colored people first and then do the background on top or something like that. I would do it two separate because it might be really tough to get that whole design on one piece of paper. So you have my permission to press twice because you're using our products. But if you were to ask that question for someone with a printer, they would tell you that you should not press twice.
Well, and I feel like sometimes when we're dealing with the paint or you're doing the inkers, there's more color on the paper than what the printer is going to put on there. So like for instance, with the tote bag that we made together, some of these little leaves on here, which we did this is one of our projects, half of these leaves I had already repressed, but there was so much color in that coffee filter when I recut it out, it pressed beautifully. I feel like I probably can give a third press out of that. So yeah, you can in this instance.
Yes, and say like paint, the ink pad, something like that with the inks. I feel like a second generation will look similar to the first, but like when it comes to like markers, something a little less rich. Sometimes the second one will be much more noticeable. Like you showed me that tote bag, I did not know it was second generation. I would have just been first generation. So, but I feel like with a marker, if it was something like that, I probably would have been able to tell that it was the second press.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Don't forget, the link is down in the information section for you to go grab your coupon code for 25% off. And the link is down there as well. Plus, don't forget to go in and enter into the giveaway. We're going to be doing all the prizes for the giveaway at the end closing party today. And there is a giveaway from Artesprix. She is giving away a set of markers and also the black ink. So you can use, there's my dog.
What's his name? Ranger?
Major.
Major.
There's somebody at the door. Go figure. But go ahead and enter because she's giving away. And so you can use all the stamps you have at home and you can stamp on copy paper, color them with the markers, and then heat press it onto a plethora of different blanks and have all kinds of fun. My favorite way of using the stamps is getting cute Christmas stamps and making like ornaments. That's my favorite part.
You can use all the paper crafting supplies you have for sublimation. You can, whether it be dyes and you want to use it to make like a stencil, like with cardstock, and then use that stencil. You can use, and just while I have, stencils are great for sublimation because all you have to do is flip it over. We didn't talk about words today, Miss Erin. So words have to be mirrored, everybody. So when it comes to traditional stamps, incorporate a mirror stamp or just avoid the text altogether. Design stamps, it doesn't matter. It's just going to be the reverse version of it. But then when it comes to stencils, which are like sometimes my favorite thing to use, all you have to do is flip any stencil over that has words, flip it over, and it's ready for sublimation. So really, use your stencils for sublimation. They are the easiest because all you have to flip it over.
Especially with your ink pads and doing the ink blending with the stencil on top. Like it is so much fun.
So fast. Erin, we can have a project. Like the blending brushes are my favorite because it's so fast. And then 60 seconds to transfer. And then look, these are already cool. Did we just have like a professional of a project in like 6 minutes? Totally, if we weren't talking so much. I mean, it's so easy. It's so easy.
All right. Well, I need to cut us off because I have a live starting again in 1 minute. So thank you so much for being with us. And thank you everybody for watching. We'll be starting our next live in less than a minute. So
thank you. Bye.